Today's the day. LEGO Gameboy finally came. Let's check it out. Try to open this without sacrificing the box. I've been looking forward to this one. So I remember being a kid, and I remember when the Game Boy came out. It was pretty awesome. And it blew us away having Nintendo games anywhere in your hand. It's pretty awesome as a kid, going places with your parents. You could take it with you and play Nintendo games. Anywhere you had to go with your parents that may be a boring place to go to, shopping or running errands, paying bills, stuff like that, before everything was all online. When you actually spend a day interacting, doing stuff in person, taking care of business and stuff, you know, or grocery shopping or anything like that, man. I didn't care. I was down to go. You just throw me in the back seat with my Game Boy and I'm good. And I remember on car rides at nighttime, we'd have to have those third-party light attachments. Since the Game Boy screen wasn't backlit, you had to have good direct lighting to see the screen, so we'd have those third-party light attachments with the magnifier on it. I was good. I was down to ride anywhere and play my Game Boy. Now, if my memory serves me right, and I think it does, I remember the Game Boy coming out, and I'm pretty sure that I still didn't have an NES when the Game Boy released. I think because I remember seeing the Game Boy for the first time. I think it was at summer camp. A kid had one, and he had Tetris, which was the pack-in game. I'd never seen Tetris before. So I saw Tetris and the Game Boy for the first time at the same time, and I did not really understand how to play Tetris, but I didn't care. I played the best I could anyway. And then I remember when I did get an NES for Christmas from my parents. One of the games was Tetris, and by then I knew how to play, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. All right, so we have a manual to put it together and some cartridge stickers, Super Mario Land and Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, and then we have all our parts. Oh wow, so this is more than just a build set of instructions. It's got some history and information about the Game Boy. That's pretty awesome. I'll definitely hang on to this and add it to the bookshelf. That's cool. So if I remember right, I got my NES with Tetris first. And then by the time I finally got Game Boy, which I think was another Christmas gift. Me and my brother both got Game Boys. By the time I got the Game Boy with Tetris included, I knew how to play Tetris then. I could play the hell out of it. So I remember we both had Game Boys with black carrying cases that held the Game Boy, our third-party light and screen magnifier, and a whole bunch of games with your link cable, maybe some extra batteries, power cord. Like, it held everything. It was jam-packed. You couldn't stick another thing in it, but it held everything you needed, and we took those things everywhere. Anytime we went anywhere, we were taking our Game Boys. And I remember attaching the link cables and playing Wave Race and two-player. That was fun. Man, that was a good time. What other games do we have? Had so many games. I had Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. That was a banger. I had Mortal Kombat, even though it was a terrible port that ran at like 4 frames per second, it felt like. I played the hell out of it because it was Mortal Kombat. I had Kirby's Dream Land. Man, I had a couple puzzle games. I can't remember the name of one of them. I think at one time I had Dr. Mario. That was a fun puzzle game. But regretfully, the day we got rid of our Game Boys, man, I wish I could take that day back. But, you know, as a kid, I couldn't really afford to have all the new systems and consoles and peripherals, accessories, or new games unless I sold something. And I remember learning that in our city, or in a city nearby, we had a game exchange. So we went to Game Exchange and we sold our Game Boys, both of them, me and my brother, all our Game Boy games, our carry cases, all the cables, and everything we had Game Boy related. We sold them all for a Nintendo 64 and maybe 2 or 3 games, something like that. You know, the 64 had been out for quite a while. I'd only played it at friends' houses, and I really wanted one, and that was the only way to get one because I didn't have any money. And I loved the Nintendo 64, but damn, I wish I could take back selling our Game Boys and all our shit for it, because it would be so awesome to have all that stuff now. And, you know, but like I said, as a young person, as a kid, I couldn't afford new stuff unless I sold stuff. And when I eventually became an adult, I quit doing that. I quit selling stuff. If it was something I wanted to hold on to, I held on to it. If it was something like a game I played and I didn't really care that much for it, when I finished it, I might sell it. But if it was anything I cared for whatsoever, it went on the shelf, never to be sold. Just keep it forever. I really wish I had those Game Boys and those Game Boy games back, because nowadays I do have a Game Boy Advance SP and a Game Boy player on my GameCube, so I am able to play Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. Of course, the Game Boy player don't play the OG Game Boy games, but the Game Boy Advance SP does. I really wish I had that stuff, but you know, as a kid, to get new stuff, you had to sell something. So at the time, it was worth it. But looking back, I wish I could have had the N64 and kept my Game Boy stuff. But, you know, today with emulation, it's easy to play those things. It's just, I've always loved collecting the handhelds and the consoles. You know, with everything on the internet, you can play that stuff without seeking out the original stuff. But I took such good care of my stuff that I just always loved collecting the actual physical cartridges and the legit OG hardware. I couldn't find these screens. I finally found them in another bag. So we have, it's when you tilt them, it moves. That's legit. So we have a Link to the Past. No, not a Link to the Past. Link's Awakening. We have the Nintendo boot up screen. We have Super Mario Land. It's pretty legit. Here's the Zelda one. The birds flying over the ocean. So this first thing we built was a stand just to hold our different screens. All right, moving on. Looks like we're building our game cartridges now. So we got stickers for Link's Awakening and Super Mario Land. So we'll have those two cartridges. Man, if I could go back in time and hand this to like my child self, here's two of your favorite things: a Nintendo Game Boy and a Lego set. Build this shit. Boy, I would have been in heaven. Going back to wishing I still had my Game Boy and games, man. You know, not only am I nostalgic because I really enjoyed it as entertainment, but, you know, my dad worked his ass off for my mom to be able to afford to buy us that stuff, and the idea of not having something she gave me kind of sucks. That's another reason why I just don't sell stuff, you know. If it's something I care about, I'm holding on to it, not getting rid of it. Because even though I have more games back here, right here, even though I have more physical games back here than I can possibly play, and not near enough time to play them all the time, the backlog gets big, and I have to choose how to spend my time and everything. But some stuff that has sentimental value, even if I don't have time to play it all the time, I know it's over there, and I enjoy just knowing it's on the shelf. Yeah, it may sound silly to people who aren't collectors, but I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. It's there to enjoy, and I do enjoy it, so it's serving its purpose. Man, Nintendo's and Lego, there can't possibly be anything from my childhood I played with more. I remember when I got my Super Nintendo, it had been out for a while, and I really wanted one. Of course I did, and I remember my parents were like, "You already have a Nintendo," because, you know, I knew they weren't cheap, but I didn't just realize at the time just how expensive that shit was. You know, a lot of people complain about gaming prices being so high today because of tariffs and inflation, but I mean, back in the 90s, we were paying $60 to $90 for 16-bit cartridges. You know, and one of the reasons for that was back then we weren't just buying games, we were buying hardware, because the Super Nintendo saw a lot of hardware upgrades in the form of new chips being placed in the cartridges. So you weren't just buying software, you were buying hardware upgrades for the console a lot of times when you purchased a game. So that's one of the reasons you know, the prices were so high, because you were buying a cartridge with chips in it, not a cheap Blu-ray like the PS5 and the Xbox today. And I think a lot of people don't think about it like that, but I mean, it's true. We're gonna put the Legend of Zelda sticker on this one. So I remember getting my Super Nintendo. I was in the 4th grade. I wanted one so bad, it was just too expensive. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna get one way or another. So what I did was, my parents gave me $2 for lunch to go to school every day. But school lunch only cost $1. The other dollar was if I wanted a snack, or maybe I wanted to buy a sweet tea to go with my lunch or something like that. So I just disciplined myself. I ate my lunch every day for $1, and I pocketed the other $1. So every school day, I was saving $1. And then, you know, fast forward to birthday. If anybody gifted me cash, I'd throw that in the stash. So every school day I'm saving $1. Any other time I can come across any kind of gift, you know, gift money, I'm saving it. Anytime I see change laying around, I'm grabbing it. There's the battery door. So fast forward one day, I'm starting to accumulate some cash for the Super Nintendo saving fund. And I'm like, man, I gotta find somewhere to keep this cash. So I had this giant Lego house that me and my brother built. And it was cool. We had a mailbox in front, we had furniture on the inside, we had made a TV out of one of the Lego windows, the single pane windows, and we took a piece of scratch paper and like drew a stick person on it and stuck it in there so it had a picture on it. We had trees and flowers in the front yard. It was pretty legit. It was a pretty dope Lego house. And I took all my $1 bills, because that's mainly what I had from saving the $1 every day of my lunch money, and I rolled them up, put a rubber band around it, took the roof off the Lego house, and stuck the band inside, and that was my bank. And then, you know, fast forward again one day, I want to say by the time I had saved up money for a Super Nintendo, I want to say it was $199. I think it debuted at $249.99. I think it had a price drop to $199, maybe $149, but I'm pretty sure I got it at $199. But anyway, I've got like $200 saved, and I remember telling my dad, "Can we go to Walmart and get a Super Nintendo?" And of course, we already had this conversation. You know, I already had a Nintendo, I already had an NES, and the Super NES was, you know, not cheap. And I said, that's okay. I saved money, I'm gonna buy it. And I remember, they were like, "What? You did what? Show me." So I go pull the roof off my little Lego house. I grab my roll of mostly $1 bills in a rubber band. And I can't remember everything in full detail, but I imagine I had a shit-eating grin on my face as I showed my dad this collection of dollar bills. So I'm feeling myself. I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm the man. Got me a stack of money. About to go get me the Super Nintendo I've wanted for so long. And man, I got gut punched. What about the tax? Damn. Really? Hustled up all this cash? Oh man, you gonna get me for the tax, huh? So I was like, all right. And then I remember my dad specifically telling me, don't go raid my change drawer. There's a kitchen drawer where whenever he come in from work, he put his keys in that drawer, loose change from his pocket in that drawer, stuff like that. And man, I had done mentally prepared myself that I was about to go to the store and buy my Super Nintendo and play the hell out of some Super Mario World when I got home. You know, the dream had initiated a plan. The plan was put in action, and I could see the finish line. And I went straight to that change drawer and got every coin I could get and covered that tax. I'm pretty sure he knew I did that and just didn't call me on it. But man, I was so close. I wanted it so bad. I saved for so long. I mean, saving with the exception of like some birthday cash and you know, which is only one time a year, stuff like that. Maybe some allowance money every now and then. You know, saving $1 a day, it took me a long ass time to come up with $200. And by the time I got my hands on that money, I was ready to go get my Super Nintendo. So I had to, I couldn't let the plan fail when I was so close to the finish line. I had to see it through. Pretty sure he never called me on that robbing that change drawer. But we went and bought it. I came home and hooked it up, and I played the absolute shit out of Super Mario World, which, you know, I'd played before at kiosk at stores and at friends' houses and stuff. I was pretty much as closest thing you could be to a pro without owning the game by the time I got it. And I played it so much that my thumb joint was so stiff and painful that it hurt to bend my thumb, and I had to like chill out on playing it for a little while. But that was a good memory, and I still have that Super Nintendo to this day. That's something I'll never get rid of. The Super Nintendo I saved my lunch money for. I still have it. I will never get rid of it. But that cool story, just to emphasize, it was all Nintendo and Lego, man. When I was growing up, that was it. That's what I cared about. Nintendo and Lego. Saved up for my Nintendo, stashing my cash in the Lego house I built. And now, you know, fast forward 34 years later, I'm building a LEGO Gameboy. That's full circle right there. Another cool Nintendo story, not LEGO related this time, but another really cool LEGO story is I remember me and my brother used to go with my mom to Walmart to shop during the summertime when school was out. We would stay in our pop-up camper at the state park down at the beach, and at the beach was a lake, and they had a campground, and we would go down there and stay and swim in the lake and kneeboard and tube on the lake and go to the beach. Go to the beach at the Gulf, go to the beach at the lake, have cookouts for lunch, just have a good time, ride our bikes all over the campground. It was awesome. At the camp store in the campground, they had a Street Fighter II arcade machine and a Mortal Kombat 2 arcade machine. And we would play the hell out of Mortal Kombat 2. I had the GamePro magazine. I had the all the special moves, all the fatality moves. So we knew how to play the hell out of that game, and we fed that machine so many quarters. So summer's over, and one day me and my brother are with my mom. We're going to Walmart to do some shopping, you know, probably some boring clothes shopping and some. This is before Walmart was like a true grocery store. So I don't know what we were in there after, but right when you walk in, there was like a automatic doors with like a small entryway, and then more doors to actually enter the store. But in that front entryway, they had a Mortal Kombat 1 arcade machine and a Street Fighter 2 arcade machine. And I remember that so vividly. I might have played those machines a couple times, but I didn't. We were always either going into shop or we were leaving ready to go, so I didn't spend much time on those machines. But I do remember them being there. So we go in the store, and right in the middle of the store, not far past that entryway and the doors, there's this table set up, like right in the middle. When you walk in, and you got a section of stuff in the middle, and you can turn left to go through the store. You can turn right. Right there in the middle, there's a table set up with 2 TVs, 2 Super Nintendos, and they were playing Mortal Kombat 2 on the TVs. Now, we didn't have Mortal Kombat 2 for Super Nintendo. It was expensive, and the only time we really got games gifted was like Christmas, you know, because they were so damn expensive. And I'm like, you know, we've spent all summer playing Mortal Kombat 2, and we walk in, and they got the Super Nintendo version right there. So I'm like, all right, Mom, you go do the shopping. We're going to hang out here and play Super Nintendo. And you just let us know when you're ready to go. But it got better than that, because there was a Walmart employee there, and she said, oh, we're having a tournament. Do you guys want to sign up? And I'm like, hell yeah. She's like, we're doing it by age group. So you both of y'all can sign up. So I ain't even asked Mom. I'm like, oh, we're doing this. We're doing this. And we talk her into it. She's like, okay. She didn't really like the game because of the blood and the violence, you know, that Mortal Kombat was known for. But we spent all summer playing this game. We were damn good at it. We knew all the special moves. We knew juggle combos. We knew the finishing moves, the fatalities, the friendships, the babalities. We knew the pit moves. We knew the Deadpool move. We're basically pros at this game. They're having a tournament. I know I got a good chance of winning, a damn good chance. Then it got even better, because the lady tells us that the prize, if you win your age group, they were doing different age groups. If you win your age group, you get like a, I can't remember how much it was. I want to say it was like a $30 or $35 gift certificate to the store. So immediately, my gears start turning. If I win my age group and my brother wins his age group, we combine our gift certificates and we go home with a Super Nintendo copy of Mortal Kombat 2. So we're about to do this. So we talked Mom into it. Mom's like, I just don't like how violent it is. And I remember the store employee was like, oh, Mom, it's just a game. And I was like, yeah, Mom, it's just a game. And I was like, we're really, really good at it. I really think we're about to win. We got to try. Got to let us try. And she did. So we both signed up for our age group. And when it come time for me to play, I went first. I don't remember if I went first, but I remember I played before my brother did. So I'm playing, and man, I'm kicking ass, just like I knew I would. And I remember I get to this one kid who knows how to play, and he's not making it easy on me. And I remember starting to think, damn, man, I got to pull this shit together. If I lose, we don't go home with a copy of the game. You know, it'll be on. It's gonna be my fault. So I remember getting my shit together and studying his moves, and he was kind of repeating the same strategy over and over, and out of frustration, I was kind of repeating the same strategy over and over too. So I quit doing that shit, and I outsmarted him, and I beat him. So I won my gift certificate. So now I'm pumped up. Now I'm like, all right, we got this. It's in the bag, you know? So it's time for my brother to play. And I'm you know, my brother was he's 4 years younger than me. And I can't remember exactly how old we were, but I'm looking at these other kids his age, and I'm like, man, this shit's in the bag. These little kids don't look like they could kick ass in some fighting game, you know? They might be able to make Mario run and jump a little bit, but man, he's about to smoke these kids. They didn't grow up and play all summer long the Mortal Kombat 2 arcade machine. We got this. Now I've already got my gift certificate secured, so I'm a little amped up. You know, I go into coach mode, and I remember my mom telling me a couple times, she's like, "Calm down," because I'm like, you know, he's I think he picked Melina, and I'm like, as soon as the round starts, teleport kick. I'm telling him to roll. I'm telling him to do a kick, charge your side, do a late jump kick, let go of the size, do a juggle combo, then go into your roll, then teleport kick. I'm just coaching his ass up, and my mom's like, "Oh my God, calm down." But it worked. We won. He got his gift certificate. I had my gift certificate. Now there was only one thing left to do. Go to the electronics department and get our copy of the game, which we did. And we went home with it. And we got to continue playing the hell out of Mortal Kombat 2. And I still have that cartridge to this day. We'll never get rid of it because of that memory and that story. I still have it, and I still have the Super Nintendo I saved my lunch money for. I'll never get rid of it. I'll always have it because of that memory. One of the greatest game consoles ever made, by the way. Great games, great memories, good times. I don't know if my brother remembers that story as vividly as I do. But man, I'll never forget that. It's awesome. I wish my mom was still around, that I could ask if she remembers that as much, as good as I do. Maybe she doesn't really remember it like I do, because it was super important to me. It was just a video game, in her eyes. But or maybe she remembers it more vividly than I do, and it would just be fun to. It'd be fun to, remember together, talk about it. As a kid, I didn't really realize it at the time because I was just a kid, but video games were so damn expensive. We had so many. Like I said, most of the time we weren't gifted them unless it was like Christmas, but still, they were so damn expensive, and we had so many. And man, it was just awesome. When you're a kid, you just don't realize how expensive stuff is. You kind of have your own gauge in your head of what we can afford and when we can afford it and what we can't. And sometimes I felt so bad about asking for stuff that I wouldn't, even if it was something I wanted so bad. But man, when it came to Nintendo and Legos, I don't think I ever filtered myself. If I wanted something, I voiced it. That was just the two staples growing up, man. I guess it's a sign of getting older, thinking that the time you grew up in was the best. But man, growing up in the 90s with toys and video games in the 90s was fucking awesome, man. We had some of the best stuff. So growing up as a Nintendo and a Lego kid, whenever I found out that they're making a Nintendo Gameboy Lego set, man, I was all over it. There's no way I couldn't be. The back of the Game Boy. On to bag number 3. Total of 5 bags. We're on bag 3. I'm looking for the select and the start button. Right there. And here's select. This will be such an awesome display piece for the game room. I just built the headphone jack. That's pretty cool. So you got a hole right there. And it even has a little black port inside, like a real headphone jack. And it says phones. The accuracy of this thing with the real deal is super cool. I wish I still had mine to compare them side by side, but from memory, it's super accurate. The D-pad actually wiggles and has rubber membrane under it. It feels like a real one. That is crazy. That is so cool. This thing is so much cooler than I thought. Here's the A and B buttons now. And they're gonna actually feel functional too. That is so fucking cool. Oh man, that's awesome. I had no idea this thing would actually have working moving parts. And here's what we have so far. So now we have our volume wheel, and we have our link jack where you plug your link cable in for multiplayer. On this side we have the contrast wheel, functional A/B buttons, a functional D-pad, select and start rubber membranes that actually press in. This is pretty cool. There's the power button right here. It actually slides and clicks. And there's our display stand. This is crazy. So The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening had a battery in the cartridge to save your progress. This is the battery. Crazy accurate. Even the coin cell battery in the cartridge. You can even look up inside the cartridge slot and see the gold, where the gold connectors will be on the real one. When you turn the power on the Game Boy, a little notch would slide over that notch to keep you from removing the cartridge with it powered on. So much accuracy. Now, the cartridge actually goes in the Game Boy. Look at that. So let me put my decal on the Super Mario Land cartridge. And there we go. So now we have a cartridge, display, stand, and we have the Game Boy display stand. Super, super cool. And in addition to instructions, this has some pictures and just a little, it's not a straight up book, but a little bit of history and photos. Well, if you enjoyed this video, I appreciate you hanging out with me. If you like Legos at all and you like Nintendo at all and you have any nostalgia for this Game Boy, this Lego Game Boy, man, go get you one of these. Go get one. Thanks for hanging out. See you next video.